Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into something really critical, especially now, sales enablement. Why it's, well, frankly, more than just support, it's a real strategic advantage in a tricky economy.
Absolutely. And we've been looking at this great video from Good Morning Enablement, right? Featuring Maria White.
That's the one. I mean, her background, Twilio, ServiceNow, HP, Oracle, she's seen how companies navigate these kinds of waters. Serious experience there.
Definitely. She brings that real world view, which is, so valuable. And our goal here for this deep dive is really to pull out the practical stuff from what she shared.
Yeah, actionable insights, like how can sales enablement actually help when things get tough economically, and maybe even find some growth?
Exactly. What can you, listening right now, actually take away and maybe even use tomorrow? That's the mission.
Okay, let's jump in then. Maria starts by pointing out something we all kind of feel, right? When the economy's weaker, customers, they get hesitant. They scrutinize spending much more.
Mm-hmm. Makes perfect sense. And that puts way more pressure on sales teams, doesn't it?
Totally. The old ways might not work anymore.
It's the crux of it, yeah. Budgets are tighter. Every purchase needs justifying, sometimes multiple times. So sales teams have got to be sharper, more persuasive, just more effective overall.
Which is where enablement comes in, right? Making them more effective.
Precisely. That's the core idea. Especially now, sales enablement is all about equipping your sales folks with, well, everything they need to be at the top of their game.
So like tools, resources, training.
Exactly. The right tools, the most relevant resources, and really focused training, all geared towards helping them connect better with customers and, close those deals that are just harder to get across the line now.
And Maria mentioned it's not just about deals being harder to close. There are other challenges specific to a downturn.
Yeah, she did. She highlighted increased competition. Everyone's fighting harder for potentially less money going around.
Right. More sharks in a smaller pond.
Kinda, yeah. And obviously those tighter budgets we mentioned. But also, and this is key, customer needs change. They're reacting to the economy too.
So enablement helps teams stay agile, respond to those changing needs.
Spot on. It helps them pivot, understand what customers really need now, and adjust how they sell. Being responsive is huge.
Which leads to something really interesting she brought up, that enablement might actually help find new opportunities. That seems a bit counterintuitive in a downturn.
It does, but think about it. When customers are hesitant, how well your team communicates value becomes absolutely critical, like paramount.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Enablement makes sure reps can really articulate that value proposition clearly, connecting it directly to those shifting customer needs. And sometimes in doing that, you uncover needs or angles you hadn't seen before. New paths open up.
Interesting angle. Okay, but let's talk about the elephant in the room, resources. Especially when money's tight, how do you justify or even find resources for sales enablement itself? Maria had some thoughts on this, right? 5 strategies.
She did, yeah. Tackled it head on. The first one's pretty straightforward. Prioritize, meaning you have to be, pretty ruthless about focusing your enablement efforts on the things that will have the biggest, most direct impact on revenue.
So cut the nice-to-haves, focus on the need-to-haves for generating sales.
Essentially, yes. It might mean pausing some projects, even good ones, if they aren't moving the needle on revenue right now. Streamlining existing programs, too. Just laser focus on what brings in the cash.
Makes sense. Okay, strategy number 2 is about repurposing existing resources. And not just people, right?
Exactly. She really emphasized broadening how you think about resources. Look at your existing sales collateral, your training materials, your tech stack.
How can you reuse or adapt what you already have?
Precisely. Can you tweak that presentation? Update that training module for the current climate. She specifically mentioned digital adoption platforms. If you already have one, how can you leverage it more effectively now instead of buying something new?
Smart. Get more bang for your buck from past investments. Her third point was collaboration.
Yes. Breaking down those internal silos. Partnering up with marketing, with product development, product marketing.
How does that help save resources?
Well, those teams often have expertise or even existing content or tools that enablement can use. Sharing resources, sharing knowledge. It can often happen without needing extra budget. It's about finding those win-wins internally.
Good point. Okay, number 4, being smart about tools. Cost-effective ones with high ROI.
Right. Focus on tools that give you the most leverage. She mentioned things like free or low-cost cloud tools for maybe content creation or collaboration.
Like share documents and things.
Yeah, or even AI platforms.
Yeah.
She suggested using AI to spin up video content quickly if you're short on time or budget. Also, things like content management systems, those digital adoption platforms, again, AI for training.
And she mentioned crowdsourcing content from the sales team itself.
Oh yeah, I thought that was brilliant.
Tell me more about that.
The idea is simple.
Mm.
Your top sellers know what works. They have practical, field-tested knowledge.
So tap into that.
Exactly. Ask them to share best practices. Maybe record short videos or work with an internal person to capture their insights. You get super relevant, valuable training material, often without spending much, if anything, extra.
That's a really clever way to leverage internal talent. Okay, and the fifth strategy for resources sounds absolutely vital.
It really is. It's all about measurement. Proving the ROI.
Showing the impact with numbers.
You got it. Maria stressed you have to measure the impact of your enablement programs.
Yeah.
Use data. Show concrete results. Did it increase revenue? Shorten the sales cycle? Improve win rates?
Because that data justifies the budget.
Precisely. It builds the business case to keep the funding you have, or even ask for more. You need to speak the language of business results.
Okay, so proving value is key. Now, Maria then shifted gears a bit, didn't she, to talk about the specific ways enablement drives that revenue growth in tough times. She mentioned some core focus areas.
Yeah, she did. She talked about enablement teams really focusing on increasing productivity.
Getting more done with the same resources.
Right. And decreasing ramp time, getting new hires effective faster, and also just fostering that culture of continuous learning, keeping everyone sharp.
Okay, and she broke that down into 5 specific ways enablement helps grow revenue. Let's start with improving sales productivity. How?
Well, it's about giving reps the right stuff at the right time. Tools, resources, training. Everything they need to engage customers well and close deals efficiently.
Any examples?
She mentioned sales plays. Specific strategies or guides for different selling situations. Tailoring those plays to specific regions or industries or use cases makes a huge difference. It arms sellers with the best approach for that specific situation, which helps them close faster and more often.
So, customized game plans, makes sense. Number 2 was enhancing sales effectiveness. How's that different from productivity?
Good question. Productivity is kind of about speed and efficiency doing more. Effectiveness is about the quality of the interactions, doing the right things the right way.
Okay. So how does enablement boost effectiveness?
It provides the messaging frameworks, the value propositions, and the training so reps can communicate that value really persuasively, make it resonate with the customer. She even mentioned using, AI simulations.
Oh, cool, like practice scenarios.
Exactly. Letting reps practice articulating value in a safe space, get feedback, and just get better at it before they're in front of a real customer. Productivity is speed, effectiveness is impact.
Got it. That clarifies it. Third was driving sales efficiency. Sounds like removing roadblocks.
It's a good way to put it. Streamlining processes, automating routine stuff like maybe initial lead qualification or standard follow-ups, nurturing leads.
So reps can spend less time on admin.
Exactly. Freeing them up to focus on the high-value stuff. Building relationships, understanding needs, closing deals. It just reduces the time and effort needed to bring in revenue.
Makes sense. Number 4, improving the customer experience. How does enablement tie into that?
By making sure reps have the information and tools they need to really understand and address each customer's specific situation, their pains, their goals.
So more personalized interactions.
Definitely. Which leads to stronger relationships, more trust, more loyalty, and ultimately a better net promoter score, right? When customers feel heard and helped, they stick around and they tell others.
Crucial. And the last one, number 5, was identifying new sales opportunities. How does enablement support that?
Well, it can support specific programs like training on better prospecting calls or techniques, but also by giving sellers access to better data, sales intelligence, tools to really dig into customer insights.
So they can spot trends or untapped needs.
Exactly. It helps them find new markets perhaps, or different customer segments, or just new ways to grow the business even when the overall economy is challenging. It empowers them to be more strategic hunters.
Wow. Okay, so pulling this all together, it really feels like Maria's point is that sales enablement isn't just, a cost center or a nice to have when times are tough.
Not at all. It's fundamental. It's a driver.
A driver of resilience and maybe even growth.
Precisely. By making the sales team more productive, yes, but also more effective communicators, more efficient, and more focused on the customer. It gives the company a real edge. It helps you weather the storm, potentially emerge stronger.
And maybe even find those surprising pockets of growth we talked about.
Absolutely. Those new opportunities can be uncovered when you're really focused on delivering value effectively.
This has been incredibly insightful, really digging into Maria's perspective. It paints a very strategic picture of enablement.
Yeah, it shifts the view from support function to strategic imperative, especially now.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. Think about your own organization. In this current climate, what resources might be sitting there underutilized? Are there collaboration opportunities you haven't tapped into yet for your enablement efforts?
Mm-hmm. Good questions.
And maybe more pointedly, what's one thing? One immediate, maybe low-cost action you could take, like right now, to help your sales team connect better, demonstrate that value more clearly today. Something to chew on.